My next guest is coming off a really impressive victory over Diego Ferreira back at UFC Vegas 26 on May 8th. It's Gregor Gillespie joining me here on the program. Gregor, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, but not as good as you, though, man. I heard you got out fishing today. How did all that go?
It was great. It started off a little slow, but we ended up not with a ton of numbers, but some quality fish, some big guys. So it was good.
Who all goes out there? Is it a big crew or just a small group of you?
I go out with my buddy Kip. He actually is a charter out there, but when we go out, we're doing the lock derby. So like we're not doing a charter trip. We're out fishing. The lock derby is like a Lake Ontario competition. So you got to enter it. You pay to enter, and then you enter your fish if you think it's going to beat the leader on the leaderboard. So that's kind of what we were doing today. So we didn't get anything on the board today, but we had a couple pretty decent sized king salmon and a pretty big laker at the end. So it was neat. We were on the west end of Lake Ontario, and you could see Toronto over the horizon. It was neat.
Well, you're speaking to me here. I'm Canadian, so I used to live in Toronto, actually. So that's pretty cool. You got to do some fishing close to there. We'll talk some more fishing in a sec here, but we got to talk about the fight itself. One of the things I wanted to ask you before the fight, with Ferreira missing weight, did that give you more confidence? Like, what goes through your head when your opponent misses weight that much?
Oh man, I mean, I would have to guess that kind of went into their calculation to whether or not to miss weight or make weight, knowing that I'd been off, without a fight since November of 2019. Then I finally got one scheduled, after the whole, I broke my jaw against Kevin Lee. I was out for a while, finally got cleared. I got, obviously COVID happened. So in Long Island and New York City area, it's just a nightmare, so finally gyms open back up and we get the ball rolling again. I get a fight with Brad Riddell for March. Actually, it was supposed to be February.
That's right.
Got pushed to March. Yeah. Got pushed to March, and then the March one got canceled, obviously because of COVID protocol. So I think, the Ferreira camp or team or whatever you want to call it kind of factored that into missing weight. And I didn't have a choice. Obviously I had to fight, and no one forced me to do that. It was my choice. And obviously, 5 over, it's I probably could have said no. I mean, a lot of guys probably would have said no. So I didn't have that luxury this time. So
you took the fight though, and it was an incredible fight. I know it didn't start off the way you wanted it, but you came back and got the victory. How satisfying was that victory, just with the layoff and everything you had to overcome just to get to this fight and to get a finish like that?
I mean, it was probably the most satisfying or gratifying, or however you want to word that, win of my career, moment of my career. I might even be the biggest one in my whole career. I mean, wrestling included. It was just maybe not the biggest as far as what it meant towards my trajectory, but how I felt, it definitely felt the best. I mean, there's nothing that's comparable to that. It just was amazing. It's really indescribable. When I rolled over on my back after the ref stopped it, it was it was just awesome, man. I think in the thing with DC after, when we were on the headsets talking, it was man, I got emotional, and it was special. That one tugged on the heartstrings a little bit for me, So.
No, it was a great performance, and definitely one of the highlights of the night. Was there anything in the fight that surprised you, maybe that you weren't expecting with Diego?
I always expect that I'm going to be mauling people as far as when I get on top of them. And this is definitely by far the best, traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner I've ever faced as far as in a fight. It really tricky off his back, throws up a lot of submissions, and they're not just bullshit submissions. I mean, you saw a couple times, he had me in a good Umapalata, he had a Kimura, he had my leg at one point through his legs. He's a dangerous guy. It's different than going against a guy who's just a great top jiu-jitsu guy. That's a totally different thing. So this is that wasn't surprising, I guess, but I was surprised that how long I guess he was able to kind of maintain the pace that I was pushing. I guess that would be the biggest surprise, I would say. But he defended takedowns pretty well. I didn't get every attempt I took. So yeah, I mean, overall, I guess I would just say the his ability to stay the pace that I was going, was surprising.
How did you celebrate after the win? I'm curious what your post-fight celebrations look like.
Oh man, I mean, when you're in Vegas in that bubble, there's not a whole lot of celebrating, right? So that night, I mean, they push you right through the system. You go out of the cage, you get your hand raised, go out of the cage. I don't even know if I had my shirt on yet. I got on the headset with DC on the desk, and it's like, that was awesome. That was cool. And you go right over to the next, curtained off, sectioned off area. I did another interview. I'm assuming it was like a UFC interview. Then the next thing they do is they, hey, go to the medical tent, sign your paperwork, right over to the press conference room. And then it's like, right from there, they put a shirt on you and send you in a van back to the hotel. So it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's funny. Someone asked me last week after I fought, they're like, when I got back, like, how was Vegas? I don't know. We didn't really go outside, it's like the only outdoor activity you got was walking from the hotel to the car, it's like, but as far as what I've done since then, I went and climbed a couple mountains.
Did you really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we didn't summit them. We climbed around 2 mountains. It was like 10 or 11 miles. So I did that that was up in the Adirondacks and up upstate New York, up near Canada and across Lake Champlain from Vermont. And then I came back to Rochester. My girlfriend, my family, they all live here. And today we did some fishing. So that's kind of, what I do after mountain climbing and fishing.
Yeah, and it's a good time of year to do it. The weather's a lot better, right? It's not super cold. So
man, it was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
You're 100K richer. What are you doing with the bonus money?
Oh, I'm investing it.
Nice.
100%. Yeah, I do with all my money for my fights. I'm pretty frugal. Most people probably don't know this, but I have a $1,000 minivan that I drive. It's from 2003, and I don't I'm just I mean, most of the clothes I wear are stuff that they give me. This stuff's not super important to me, having super nice clothes and a sick car. The front seat of my passenger side is just water bottles and power bar wrappers. I'm not going to have a sick car or anything. If you think I'm going to buy a car or something like that, I would not interested. I'm going to invest that money so I can have those things later on down the road.
What about camping stuff or fishing stuff? Do you put any money into that? Because my wife's a big camper. I've seen some of the price tags on those tents. They get up there. So any money spent towards that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've already bought everything. I do need. I would say when I get into these outdoor overnight trips, I'm gonna need a new pad, a new sleeping bag, especially for the winter time. And a tent, I need a different kind of tent if you're doing that. It's not just one you take to a Walmart tent. So that's probably the next step in my camping, hiking adventure.
Cool. That's good, man. You don't strike me as much of a social media guy. I know you post a little bit of stuff, but you must have saw the feedback after that win because everyone was talking about that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, as far as the support that I got. Hey, how are you? My girlfriend just got home. Yeah. The support I got even before the fight, it's a surefire way. Thank you. A surefire way to get an army behind you is fight a guy who misses weight by 5 pounds. Everyone's on your side then, so I had a big outpouring and people reaching out to me about, good luck, go beat the guy who's not being professional. And then after I got a lot of messages about how much heart and how much grit it showed, and just being persevering through something that obviously had its moments that I wasn't doing fantastic. And the end of round 1 I finished on bottom, which is literally, I don't think it's ever happened to me. I don't know what the scorecards were, but I probably lost that first round. So and as you saw at the end of round 1 going into 2, between that round I didn't feel great. Now that was because extremely high pace. That being said, it was it was super hard, and I think I showed some resiliency in there, and I got a nice positive feedback from most people on social media because of that.
And the fishing,
I think also one thing that people are finding pretty refreshing is that I'm super honest before and after the fights. Like, I think people are starting to kind of not like so much the tough guy shit talking, getting in each other's faces and picking on each other. Man, I've never done that. I've never liked doing that. I've never been good at it. It's not organic at all for me. So as I'm getting a little older here, I'm just telling everyone, I'm not doing like the cliche fighter responses and interviews and, answering questions like you'd expect like a fighter to answer them, man. Like, I think people find it refreshing to hear things like, like when I got interviewed about Kevin Lee and someone said like, it was a lucky kick. It wasn't lucky. I didn't get unlucky. He didn't get lucky. He did something really well. And I didn't get caught. He executed something perfectly and it worked. And then again that was, two interviews ago. And then this time when I got interviewed at the press conference or whatever that media scrum was before, we were talking about like, or actually it was after, I'm sorry, about, like you wonder that why are you so emotional? And I'll answer that question as honestly as I did before with Daniel Cormier. It's because you wonder, like, I haven't won a fight in 2 years, and it's like, being confident is such a huge part of this sport, which I am very confident, but until you go out and do it, especially coming off like a devastating knockout loss, you wonder, you're like, man, do I still have it? Can I still compete with these guys? Should I still be, like in this mix? And obviously that can change with one fight. Now I'm feeling like King Kong again. So I getting back to the point though, I feel like people find that really refreshing. To hear people, I'll use two examples, like when you hear like Donald Cerrone or GSP talk about what it feels like before a fight, and they talk about how nervous they get and how scary it is, and like that's normal. Like, if you don't feel those things, something's off. You know what I mean? No matter how confident you are, no matter how much you believe in your abilities, you should be getting nervous before you go in a fist fight in front of however many people are watching on TV or in live attendance. So I think people are starting to find that maybe the honest, like humble approach to things is a little more refreshing after like years and years of shoving each other at weigh-ins. And like, I think people get the wrong impression. Like, I know, like, I hope I don't burst anyone's bubble out there, but like, I don't hate the guys that I'm fighting. I wouldn't fight that guy out in the bar or like street fight or anything like that. I don't. I'll be back. Okay. Yep. I don't dislike them. This is my job and it's a sporting event. You know what I mean? And like, that being said, I'm going to try to hurt the guy in the cage. And I know that's what people want to see, but like, it's a sport. And I think people are starting to like that. And again, that being said, I think there's guys like Conor McGregor who do it absolutely, like they're geniuses at it. But then I think everyone sees that that's popular and they try to force it, and it doesn't look natural, And I think the other way may be coming around, like.
The authenticity. I agree. I think people, what you see, the Gregor Gillespie I'm talking to here is a Gregor Gillespie that's in the cage or outside. You know what I mean? Like, we're not getting a persona, a character, right? Yep. There's certain fighters who do that. You brought up McGregor, actually, which is interesting because I don't know if you saw, but he's had the social media post with the fishes and said, that must be kind of cool for you to see him acknowledge you and talk about the fishing stuff, which is something you're really into.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, fishing and climbing mountains and fighting and like my family and the people I'm close with, like that's my life. And what you see there on my Instagram is this, you don't get a persona. You don't get things that aren't happening in my real life. But yeah, so McGregor, calling me out for a fishing thing was pretty cool, and obviously that's like a fight that I would love to get someday. I don't know how you approach having a fishing competition when someone's in Ireland and I'm in America, and it's just, I think it's probably poking fun at me a bit, but, I mean, if you want to go fishing and then have a fight, I'm down for that too, but I thought it was cool, anytime. Like, I was actually talking to my dad, and my dad's on social media, and I asked him after the fight if he saw that Conor McGregor, tagged me in a post or called me out in a post. He's like, "Oh my God, what did he say?" I said, "It doesn't matter what he said. Like, if Conor McGregor says your name in a post, I don't want to sound like I'm putting him on a pedestal, but his audience is obvious. You can see how many followers he has and the influence he has. So like, him putting my name in a tweet or whatever, an Instagram post. It was, that can't hurt, So
here's how you do. By the way, here's how you do a fishing competition. This is my idea. Okay, I want to know if you understand this pitch. So you do it in Canada, right? Neutral ground here, right? Neither are you Canadian. You do it in Canada. Right. You get Bryce Mitchell to be the referee because he's a fisherman as well. And then you go toe to toe. You just go out on the water. Whoever catches the most fish wins. What do you think?
I mean, yeah. And I guess you got to find out, because there's so many different types of fishing. Obviously, There would have to be some sort of like species category, you can't just say however many, you catch the most fish and then you go out and you use a worm and a bobber and you catch sunfish. That's not what we need to do. We need to have like a species category, so if we did like all, only salmon, only trout, only pike, only bass, I mean, we could make some rules. I'm sure we could figure it out, but I think there needs to be like some sort of stipulation, when I win, then we get to have a fight.
Exactly. It's got to be worth it. There's got to be a prize at the end there. Do you think you are the best fisherman in the UFC, just based off your experience? Are you confident enough to say that?
Yeah, sure. And I think there are other guys in the organization that can fish. I mean, there's
tons,
definitely,
actually. Yeah,
for sure. There are some guys that are into fishing, but I mean, I guess just go look at my Instagram, it's pretty obvious, just go look, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of fishing posts, and I'm only posting ones that are of value. There's thousands of other fish that I'm catching, so yeah, I am the best. That's the answer to that question.
Just a couple more questions here. I know we're running out of time. When are you looking to get back in there? I know you want to sort of make up for lost time. You've had some bad luck with fights, cancellations, and things that have happened. Is there sort of an ideal situation for you to return as far as a date goes?
Excuse me, I would say I have a few not injuries, but I'm dinged up a little bit. I've been in fight camp since literally like 2 weeks before Christmas. It's been a long fight camp. I don't have any like major injuries, but I'm definitely dinged up. I got to get a few things looked at and take care of them, whether it's physical therapy or whether it's a little bit of a break, but I don't need like a half a year off, but I need to take a few weeks here to kind of regroup and let my body come back to normal, because it has been a very long and hard fight camp. I mean, 5 months of training for a fight, is brutal. So I would say like fall. I would love fall, but again, if something comes up earlier and my body is okay and it seems like it's reasonable and makes sense, I guess that's kind of the next step. But that being said, I'd like to fight another guy. Again, I don't do call outs, but I'd like to fight someone that's going to push my career in the right direction, just like Diego did, so someone ranked ahead of me. So,
well, yeah, and I think you deserve it, because at the time of recording this, Beneil Dariush is fighting Tony Ferguson on Saturday. Sure. He got a split decision win over Ferreira. You actually finished him, so that I think holds a bit of weight as well in the division. I'll tell you one name I'm going to throw out here, and again, you're not calling anyone out. This is just me kind of coming up with this idea. Everyone that talks about you talks about Islam Makhachev. Is that a fight you think will happen at some point, just because both of you guys are very high-level grapplers?
Yeah, who knows? He just took a fight against someone else.
Thiago Moises, yeah. No, I know,
So yeah, I mean, obviously that's not going to be next on the horizon, but that's a guy that's probably ranked lower than he's capable of, competing at. I could see maybe down the line if it lines up and we end up fighting each other for the belt. I don't know, yeah, who knows? I know a lot of people call for that, but it's got to make sense. So yeah. I'm going to take the one that makes the most sense, that is offered to me, that, pushes me in the right direction. So hopefully it's someone ranked ahead of me.
Yeah. And I think you're kind of in that conversation now with your Dan Hookers and your, Rafael Dos Anjos and those types of names that are sort of notable and also ranked higher too. I think with a finish like that, I think you've absolutely earned it. So we'll see what the UFC matchmakers say. And last question, when are you fishing again? Because you went out today. Are you going out tomorrow? What's the fishing schedule from here on out?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm supposed to go back out with Kip, who's the guy that runs that charter boat, Rochester Sport Fishing. Supposed to go out with those guys in the morning. I hate to say it, but I might cancel on them. They're going. I literally was up at 3 a.m. today. I had to get out it was an hour and a half drive to where they're launching the boat. And they want to be on the water by 5:30. So I was up at 3 this morning, and I'm just dying now. And I also have to get my boat in the water. So I don't know when I'm going to do that if I don't do it tomorrow. So we'll see. I'll be fishing. I just don't know where it'll be.
And look at this. You made time to do the interview. You've been up since 3 a.m., man. I really appreciate it, Gregor. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors? Any social media you want to plug? I'll give you the last word.
Oh, I mean, my coaching staff is unbelievable. Keith Trimble, Carlos Rosado, Kyle Sermonera, Andre Harrison, Joe Scarola, my original jiu-jitsu coach. Those guys have had such a huge impact and positive effect on my life. Those aren't just my teammates and my coaches. Those are my family. And I know everyone says that, but I live in Long Island without any family around. So my entire family lives up in Rochester and in Webster, New York, and it's 6 hours. So I don't have any family down there. My girlfriend, she puts up with a lot of shit living 6 hours away. She, all of them, they're, super special to me, and they're all part of this. So, and obviously all my sponsors, too many to thank, but everyone knows they're part of the team, and it's two-way street. So I try to, if they need anything, I'm always available. And, just everything that goes into it, too many people to thank, but everyone, I appreciate everybody.